Hi, my name is Haley Fry, and I chose to do my country presentation on Saudi Arabia. So to start off with, Saudi Arabia was founded in 1932 by Ibn Saud, and he became the first monarch of the nation. It's currently the largest sovereign state in Western Asia, and it's conveniently located on the Arabian Peninsula between the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf, giving it easy access to ports. The terrain is known to be desert-like, lowland, and have mountains. And it has a population of 34.2 million. And of that population, half of them are under the age of 25-year-old. So it shows it has a very young demographic. And it is currently ranked 53 out of 100 on the Corruption Perceptions Index. So to the left, you can see the Saudi Arabian flag. And one thing that sticks out is the sword on the bottom, and that is to showcase the strictness in applying justice and the Sharia law that they have, which I'll talk about in a later slide. The green is a color of Islam, and the inscription says, "There is no God but Allah. Muhammad is the messenger of Allah." And this flag is considered to be holy, so you will not see it used on shirts or other items, which is a stark contrast to the American flag, which we see on a lot of things in our country nowadays. And it is also never lowered to half-mast. So the language of this nation is Arabic, and there's three main dialects that span the east, central, and western parts of this country, but they're all very similar, so it's very hard to tell the difference between the three. And the written language is Modern Standard Arabic, which is the language of the Quran, which is the Bible that and Constitution that this country bases their lives off of. This place is known to be the birthplace of Islam, and it's reflective of the Sunni branch and the Shia branch, which are two different denominations of Islam and have a very different views of what the religion should entail. The Sunni branch is more of the traditionalist view and believe that the only person who should be a successor is Muhammad's prophets, and they recognize that, versus the Shia branch believes that the Muslim leadership should go to Muhammad's son-in-law Ali. So there's been a lot of conflict between the two branches, and but the Wahhabi sect of Sunni Islam is the most dominant throughout the nation. This is a very conservative interpretation of the Quran, and the government is tied closely to this, and they practice this daily, and any non-Muslim faith is banned. There are two holy cities that are recognized in this nation. Mecca is the first, and this is where the Hajj pilgrimage takes place every year, and it's also the place of Muhammad, their God, his birthplace, and also Muslims throughout the entire world pray facing Mecca 5 times a day. And Medina is the other city, and that's where Muhammad's Muslim community was established, and also where he was laid to rest. The political structure of this nation is very interesting. It is a monarchy ruled by Al Saud, that is a family, and they support the Wahhabi religion. The king and head of this family is Salman, and he combines all aspects of the government, the legislative, judicial, and executive functions. So he has a large influence in this entire country. He also acts as the prime minister, and he gets some help from a crown prince that he appoints, and also a council of ministers. The legislation of this nation is the Sharia, that's their Islamic law, and that is a very strict code for living. It tells the people their prayers they should say, their fasts, donations they should make, and it's an expression of God's commands for the Muslims. And they believe that they should follow this to get a better or closer relationship with Him, which will lead them to a better afterlife. And if they don't, there are consequences that the government can inhibit on them. And there are also local governments beneath the huge monarchy. There's 13 administrative regions within that also have districts, and their regional governors appointed. However, they have little power when it comes to the overall country, and because the Al Saud family has so much influence. And there are also no elections for national bodies, and political parties are outlawed, which is very different than the United States. The economy, so the currency is known as a Saudi Riyal, and one of their dollars is equal to 0.27 of a US dollar. And the GDP is 747 billion in US dollars, and which is a few billion less than it was before the coronavirus. And GDP per capita is 2,500 about in US dollars. And the GDP growth rate is currently negative 2.3%, which is different than in 2019. It was 2.4%, so it shows how it has declined because of the coronavirus. The inflation rate has also changed because of coronavirus. It's currently 6.2% in 2020 versus the 0.5% that it was previously in the year or the year prior. And the unemployment rate has also increased. It's currently at a 9%, and in January of 2020 it was at 5.7%. And the Big Mac index is also 2.27 US dollars. The cost of living is relatively different than in San Diego, where we're used to. The consumer price index is 104.2, and it is living in the capital city is 33.51% lower, a lower cost than in San Diego. The rent is 78.70 lower in San Diego. The average salary is seen there in US dollars. And in the picture up top, you can see the other average, or the salaries that people earn in this city amongst different employees. And the most interesting fact I found is that the gas price is only 91 cents in US dollars there per gallon. The exports they have, they're actually the 19th largest exporter in the world, and they're have 1/5 of the world's oil reserve, and they're ranked first internationally. So petroleum is their largest export, and it accounts for 2/3 of the government revenue. And they also export materials like petroleum, plastic, metal goods, construction materials, electrical appliances. And the main destinations for their exports are China, Japan, and the US, as you can see in that chart above. Imports, they also do take in a lot of imports. They're the 20th largest importer in the world, and they get these products from the US, China, and Germany, which you can see in the chart. And these are items like machinery, transport equipment, animals and food, and chemical products. The culture is very different than what we're used to down in America. So they celebrate Ramadan, which is a holy month, and where they fast from dawn to dusk. They also have a Hajj season, which is the journey or pilgrimage to Mecca. And then they also celebrate the 2 Eid holidays, which are the only national holidays recognized and the only ones that they are encouraged to celebrate. And their values revolve a lot around generosity and hospitality. They also wear traditional modest clothes, as you can see from these pictures. The woman must always have a legal guardian, and now they are allowed to hold office and attend school, but that has just recently, over the past decade or so, been enacted because they have had to fight a lot for rights over the years. And political expression is discouraged throughout the entire nation. Families and tribes run the cities indirectly because they have a lot of influence based on their status, wealth, and lineage. And yeah, there's a large emphasis on that. So recent news, the coronavirus has killed 5,068 people out of the 339,615 cases, and the Al Sayed family members were infected. And like I said, they shut down the Hajj to Mecca and Medina because of this, which is a very big issue. And and then an economic impact is the oil prices decreased a lot. Went from $85 a barrel to $25. The reserves also decreased. And the king's response to this was he tripled the value-added taxes, cut subsidies, and also added austerity measures. And this significantly hurt the poor because it was just having them pay more for what the government was losing. And the Vision 2030 plan, this was enacted in 2016, and they are they're looking at it again and implementing it, and it is to diversify their economy so they're not just solely reliant on petroleum as their export, because as you can see, the coronavirus, they can't rely on that as much. And finally, an overview of Saudi Arabia. So history, we learned their religion is Islam. They have a very tribalistic background, and so it's families competing a lot for power, and they've had a past of that, and they still continue to fight over that. They have a wealth because of their petroleum oil. It's a very big export of theirs. And they do, though, have a poor social life because of the harsh Sharia law. It's hard. No one can speak out or have their own opinions. There's little to no government representation, and women are still continuing to fight for rights. They had a good economy before COVID, the largest in the Middle East, and they're hoping to bring that back sooner than later. Thank you.